What happened to the UNSC before, during, and after the events of Halo Infinite? That's what we'll be discussing in today's video. And of course, there will be full spoilers for Halo Infinite's campaign, so either play the game before you watch this video or prepare yourself to be at least slightly spoiled. Alright, before we begin, today's video is brought to you by my friends over at Vite Ramen, who are releasing their version 3.0 flavors. I know you guys might be wondering, heck, didn't they just have version 1.2? Where's version 2? Listen, it was such a big change, they went right to 3.0, and I can't blame them. I've been testing some of these flavors. Let me just tell you that they are amazing. You guys probably already know about Vite Ramen, but if you don't, they're a really easy way to eat healthy and live an ordinary life. Compared to other ramen, it's low in sodium, it's got lots of bioavailable nutrients, and of course it's still delicious. As I mentioned at the beginning, version 3.0 of Vite Ramen has dropped. I'll put the patch notes down in the description. There you can get a full look at what's changed and everything that goes into making Vite Ramen noodles and flavors. I've also got a brand new Eckhart's Ladder landing page for Vite Ramen. I've got something very special in the works as well, but follow that link and you can get free chopsticks, spoons, and a sticker. Plus use code Eckhart's for 10% off. You'll be helping not only a great company out, but also me. Anyway, on with the content. Alright, so one of the major plot points of Halo Infinite is that the UNSC has now been grounded on Zeta Halo. But is this the entire UNSC? Is this just Master Chief? What is going on with the wider world? I actually quite liked Halo Infinite's campaign, but it is somewhat frustrating how a lot of really important world building sort of happens off screen. We don't get much of a look at the wider universe besides for the intimate story being told about Master Chief. It was definitely an attempt to more closely mirror Halo 1's narrative style, but I think it's a bit more difficult to pull this off when you're at game 6 in your main series versus game 1, especially when there are all these plot threads that are sort of mysterious. Alright, so let's talk pre-Infinite first, and the UNSC is sort of in a weird spot before the created conflict, at least. For the entirety of the Human Covenant War, the UNSC realistically did not have a chance. That's actually one thing I really like about the faction. They have all of these secret projects and super soldiers and tactics, but in the end, everything they do barely moves the needle and gives humanity maybe an extra week of survival. We know from Halo Warfleet that after the end of the Human Covenant War, the UNSC, heavily militarized, was pumping out new frigates in the thousands and was even using new technology to make all of their ships more powerful, from energy shielding to much better slip space drives and more. I'd say arguably they continue to grow more powerful throughout the events of Halo 4. We see of course the UNSC Infinity launch, the new Spartan 4 program that takes us to the events of Halo 5 and the created conflict. Now unfortunately this is the beginning of the state of the UNSC in Halo Infinite, and there aren't necessarily concrete answers to all of our questions, but we can speculate I think quite responsibly and also make guesses based on what we've seen of Cortana, the created, and anyone who opposes her. So Halo 5 ends with the created showing up on Earth. As they have throughout the game, they launch massive EMPs. We see Earth's orbital array go dark, as does much of the home fleet. The UNSC Infinity, however, is able to run, and the game ends with a sort of resistance forming, which will stand up to Cortana. Now, although we do get some details about this pre-Halo Infinite era in some of the novels, there aren't necessarily as many specifics about the organization of the UNSC as you'd want, but we get a general overview, for example, in Shadows of Reach. Here's a quote. The UNSC Infinity was now the primary base of resistance to Cortana and her forces, a 5.5-kilometer supercarrier serving as the flagship of the handful of UNSC vessels that Cortana had not yet captured, destroyed, or decommissioned. Currently on station in a horseshoe orbit designed to keep it within easy support range of Reach, the Infinity was the United Nations Space Command's largest and most advanced vessel. In short, it was humanity's last hope. We see that the UNSC is adapting to Cortana's regime. For example, they're not using smart AI, instead relying on the dumb variety to stop any sort of insurrection. Nonetheless, for a basic summary, the UNSC has not totally been defeated, but a lot of their ships are no longer available. But as we know, especially again from Shadows of Reach and Divine Wind, there's still a central command structure, and there is more than just the UNSC Infinity. That of course takes us to the events events of Halo Infinite itself. First of all, we see the UNSC Infinity and its escort fleet of 6 frigates destroyed, although I'm going to guess in the Infinity's case, not permanently, by banished dreadnoughts. This was, however, not the entirety of the UNSC's forces. We know, for example, based on the audio logs, this was simply an advanced fleet and that they were to rendezvous with other UNSC fleets later. We also know that the Infinity was not expecting the type of resistance it got at Zeta Halo, and also it's my guess that these multiplayer maps showing UNSC frigates are actually meant to take place alongside the campaign. And on that note, Halo's multiplayer is also canon. Your Spartan is canonically a part of the story, so the UNSC still even has training facilities, and they've even sort of described that as perhaps being an ongoing story in the future, which I think could be kind of interesting, almost like Spartan Ops in a way, but not as in depth. So while we do hear of Blue Team and others perhaps being scattered across Zeta Halo, that's not where everyone in the UNSC is, in my opinion. The entire forces haven't been destroyed, so there's more out there. But what about with the created conflicts now? We actually get an interesting look at how Cortana operates. We see that she devastates Sydney, which was something previously alluded to in Halo Fractures. Sydney being a key UNSC city, so lots of leadership would have died, although Lord Hood survived. But we also see that she seems willing to simply hold people hostage wherever possible. Cortana kills when she needs to in order to preserve order. We see that with the Spartan 4 station that's destroyed. So after the end of the conflict, and I guess that could be now, given the fact that Cortana has killed herself in Minecraft, it's hard to say what will happen to the Guardians and her soldiers. It's definitely possible that they simply stop operating and that everything that was previously captured by the Guardians is now able to go free. We do see one crashed on the ring. Some people have had an interesting idea that it tangled with the UNSC Infinity, and that's why that ship was able to be defeated by the Banished, but it could also be that it simply stopped working when Cortana's signal went away. So it's possible that this almost rebel remnant of the UNSC could be getting reinforcements as others who have been imprisoned or held down by Guardians are now able to freely operate again, but I'm not sure. That's, however, the best summary that I can give of the UNSC. A lot of this is contained in the audio logs in Halo Infinite. Am I missing anything? Is there something you'd like to add? Let me know down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.